Good day. This is Speak On It. Today is Friday, March 5th, 2021. My name is Malik. Today we're going to start off taking care of some business as it relates to the Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force. I received a communique the other day from the director of the Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force, and he was saying that there was information they wanted us to get out concerning the epidemic of heroin, opioid, and other drug-related situations as it relates to the increase since the pandemic, since 2019 to 2020 in Lake County. Now, we have done several pieces as it relates to what's happening with this situation with heroin, opioid, and other type of substance dependency or disorders. But I'm not going to be able to read it off of the piece, but I will surrogate another Lake County because it's so relevant. And they had gone through it earlier, and now here it is in Illinois. The connection is the Eisenhower Expressway, which has been used as a pathway of moving dope on an interstate level. So we're going to have a piece up here to say it's a Narcan pen, which is different than what some of us are used to seeing. And that Narcan pen actually dealing with, it says Lake County Narcan Program. And yes, I want to just focus on this for a minute because we have talked about how Narcan is basically given here in Cook County, especially as it relates to the Westside Heroin Opioid Task Force and its partners to try and get something in the hands of families that can help people if they have overdose. Now, this is different because it's a different type of application. The one we had talked about was the inhaler that looked like a nasal inhaler. What has come out is that a lot of people, people be disoriented. They started thinking it was because they had sinuses, and they started shooting it up their nose, and that ain't what it was for. And some of them, they panicked after they figured out it wasn't going to touch nothing or help nothing. And the problem they had with their nasal situation, if it wasn't drug related, dope related, it wouldn't help. Now, the other piece is the injection. And that's where you shoot the person in the arm or the hip, in a muscle part of his or her body, and they bring them about. Now, I'm starting the program off with this today, and I'm going sort of slow on it. It's because, well, let me not say because, Omari, let's just follow this script. Let's do this, but I don't want to talk about it. When you hear it, this Lake County, United States, Ohio, and other spots are the same as the problem they have in here in Illinois. But when I went to find something that we could present here with a video about what's happening in with Lake County here, I was not able to do that. Therefore, I'm reaching for this particular information, like I said earlier, as a surrogate to make this happen. So I guess they've seen this piece up here about the Narcan injection. It looked different than what you might see in Chicago, but it's all basically the same, naloxone, we call it Narcan. Now, the other piece I want you to look at as it relates to that is this piece where they found 70 pounds of cocaine off of the Florida Keys. Now that's important. You say, do you see that one? That's those red bricks, Omari, that should be very close to the beginning of the piece, because that should follow this. They got 70 pounds of this dope, and that seemed to be happening a lot. The 70 pounds stacked up. Yeah, I think I see it. There's probably, all right, that's the Keys. You got one with 70 pounds, and then you got another one with 50,000 pounds in Europe. Yeah, that's the 70 pounds. Now, that's connected because it's dope. We got a pandemic. We got all type of things happening in this country and in the world, but they are also moving that dope because they're having a problem keeping that money going. So now it appears that some of this money is just getting off track and people finding the dope, but people got enough sense not to try to do anything with the dope, so they call the legal officials so they can get the stuff turned in. There was a time when somebody found some dope like that, they try to go into business. It looked like people done woke up because they know them cartels and whoever that dope belonged to, they come in form. And that makes sense. But, and there's another one right connected to that, Omari, where they say 50,000 pounds of cocaine, the largest amount of cocaine seized in Europe history. Now, that's a whole lot of cocaine. 50,000 pounds. Now, question becomes, where do all this dope end up? And, that piece should be pretty close to, I don't know, that piece about what they found in Europe should be pretty close to the piece as it relates to this piece we see here. But that's true. Well, I guess he's trying to find it. All right, yeah, this piece here. Now, I want you to see these things because it's all part of the family. It's all part of the family of dope. It's all part of the family of addiction. And you see that it's not just in the Negro community in Chicago or in other urban areas. It's an epidemic. And as such, it's important that we communicate to people things that are related to opioids. And opioids are basically pain blockers, pain killers. Opioid can be prescribed by a doctor as so-called medicine or pills. And opioid is also heroin and other things. So these things are connected. Cocaine, marijuana, all of that stuff is connected. And for those of you that have been bamboozled by how the government has taken over reefer and making all of these billions with all them black folks that was in jail, and don't tell me nothing about this thing, that how many black people have been let out of jail and got expunged. But shut the hell up. Their life is still destroyed. And now you're making millionaires, but you still gonna give a Negro one damn dispensary in Illinois. But I'm gonna leave that alone because that's the politicians. That's what y'all thing is. Now, let's find this other piece. Let's just go straight down this piece. And these should be the first things on that list, Amari. Those pieces there are pictures. Now here's a piece, Lake County to begin tracking heroin overdoses. That should be 3 videos back to back. The piece to talk about tracking.
It was meant to be. What would need to happen here in Ohio?
Well, I think there does need to be some type of statewide
and then
database.
Where that young white boy is talking about how that heroin is not a problem, it's an epidemic. Let's just go down
the way that it was meant to be. What would need to happen here in Ohio?
Well, I think there does need to be some type of statewide database.
I discovered the loophole, and I am still tracking Ohio's Good Samaritan law in the middle of a snowballing heroin epidemic. I've reported the law is tricky to enforce because no one's keeping track of overdoses. But the sheriff told me that's changing right now in Lake County. The Good Samaritan law. A statewide effort to save lives by granting a 911 caller and a person who overdoses on heroin immunity.
Addicts could use, overdose, have police come out, revive them, and then just do that all over again for several departments and never face any charges.
Correct.
So, illegal drug users in Ohio are walking away from something like this, and they can legally, twice. After 2 bites of the apple, they can be charged or arrested. But that can only happen if someone keeps track. There's no statewide database for heroin overdose, hence the loophole.
There's not a database that I can go to as a prosecutor to find out if they've used up their two.
In Lake County, they're doing something about it. Detective Walters told me the lack of a database makes enforcing the law nearly impossible.
Information sharing is how we're going to beat this problem. We're not going to beat it by not sharing information.
So they've taken it upon themselves to create their own.
This law came down from the state, but now you guys as a county sheriff's department are having to create a database and do all this stuff on your own just to implement the law, right?
Correct.
He's confident it will make enforcing this law and following up with repeat offenders possible, but
It would be very helpful to have a state database, I think. I mean, the states put these requirements on us to try to comply with. Well, let's put the database in effect.
right now about half the cities in Lake County are contributing to that database. The sheriff's department is still trying to get everyone on board. And while it's helpful in Lake County, that loophole still exists. So if someone overdoses outside county lines, there's still no way to track it.
To really be implemented.
Now, just keep in mind, not only has this Good Samaritan law shown a tendency to be changing for the worse, so it seems. It was a point where you could call and even an ex-offender. Now things are changing and people are getting a little nervous because they might be trying to help save somebody's life, but if they don't be careful, they'll end up violating parole and getting put back into a situation. So a lot of times people that are part of that culture are very leery about getting too deep into trying to help somebody because they might get caught up. Now let's look at the other piece that's right behind that, Amari, and see how we can present that.
A vial of nasal spray can mean the difference between life and death during a heroin overdose. It's called Narcan. And today, behind this door at the Lake County Health Department, families of heroin addicts are getting Narcan kits to reverse the effects of an overdose.
If someone has a heroin overdose or an opiate overdose, the squad that has the Narcan can be 8 to 10 minutes away. That's way too long to be without oxygen.
You actually get to the point you almost plan your child's funeral in your head because you're so sure it's going to happen.
Fortunately, Denise Jones doesn't worry about that now. Her son has been clean for a year, but for too long, life with a heroin addict was hard.
You don't expect to go to jail and stand beside your son, in handcuffs and shackles and not be able to touch him.
It's an epidemic that's touching families all across the country, the cause of more deaths than car accidents. Ryan here has lost 4 high school acquaintances to heroin overdoses in just 7 years. Addictions that often begin with prescription drugs.
It's scary, it really is, and it's scary.
But there's evidence locally that Narcan is saving lives. Just recently, police saved a 26-year-old in Medina with Narcan they had just received in April. And Lake County hopes its program will save even more.
I'd be happy with one.
Now, while Narcan can save a life in the case of a drug overdose, Lake County's taking other steps as well to try to deal with the drug problem. Last year, they collected 5,000 pounds of prescription drugs at 7 drop-off locations throughout the county. In Paynesville, Deborah Lee, News Channel 5.
Now, good information. Now we're gonna go on into the other one here that we look at. Lake County sees increase. This is interesting in carfentanil. Now we know that fentanyl has become a problem because they mixing it with these street drugs. But this piece about the carfentanil, you need to hear what they're gonna say, because we know that what we was talking about, it was 100 times stronger. Listen to what these people are gonna tell you about this strand of killer that they are now
To really be implemented the way that it was meant to be, what would need to happen here in Ohio?
Well, I think there does need to be some type.
I mean, those videos are back to back, so I don't know why these things ain't coming up as they was posted. I don't know what that's about, because they all fall right behind each other. I mean, it's just like going down the list, and there they are. I mean, you see one, then you go to the next one. Yeah, that one there, the second one there. Not that one, he already talked. That next one.
You see this
But
platform?
I guess because of all of this other stuff that, beyond this technology, people are,
Claiming victims. Carfentanil seemed to slip into the shadows during a crackdown, but the opioid 5,000 times stronger than heroin is now making a comeback. News 5's Tracy Carlos talked to the investigators already dealing with a spike in these carfentanil cases. Tracy.
Yeah, Rob, it is. And officials are concerned enough to issue warnings about the dangerous drug that is turning up in drugs on the streets of Northeast Ohio.
Fred DeMarco knows all too well what drugs can do to a family. His son Nick died of a heroin overdose 4 years ago. Since then, he's made it his mission to educate others about the dangerous and sometimes deadly opioids that have morphed from pills to heroin to fentanyl and carfentanil.
I kind of equate it to like arms dealers. What's the most devastating weapon they can create? And carfentanil was never even designed for human consumption, but the dealers selling their poison want to brag about having the best, the strongest stuff on the market.
First, the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner issued a warning about a significant increase in seized carfentanil. Now Lake County is sounding the alarm.
Carfentanil was dormant for some time in 2018. We hadn't seen any cases in December. And then suddenly, beginning in January into February, we had a spike of carfentanil cases.
In fact, Lake County saw 17 carfentanil cases come into the lab in all of 2018. So far, in just the first 8 weeks of this year, they've already seen that same number, 17.
With my communications with the coroner, we also noted in Lake County an increase in deaths from fentanyl and carfentanil mixtures.
Keith Martin is the assistant special agent in charge of the Cleveland DEA.
We are seeing more of it.
He told me the first time agents saw carfentanil was in July of 2016. There was a decrease after a crackdown on foreign countries that sell illicit opioids to people here in the U.S., but now it's back.
It's usually through, foreign sources, using illicit networks and the dark web. They may be ordering it and having it sent into the U.S.
DeMarco is not deterred, only strengthened to fight the opioid battle.
If we can save one life, it's worth all the effort.
As of last month, the Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner says 6 people have died from that drug, and carfentanil is mainly affecting our region. Experts say it is not being seen in other parts of the state to the degree that it is here. Tracy Carlos, News 5.
There's only one thing.
That's important information, because the dope situation is transit. It don't just stay. in one spot. People move around. And this connection between Chicago and border states, there is an expressway that's very convenient and has created a lot of issues. So, like I stated, you have to be creative. At least I have to be creative. So when we talk about Lake County, the piece I got to read, it won't give you the same impact as these videos that show you the same thing somewhere else that is also here, but maybe not to the same degree. But we need the information so we can prepare and we can recognize the change in our particular environment. Now, this other piece, and this will be the last piece on the dope tip, is this young Caucasian dude that's saying that heroin is not a problem, it's an epidemic. The reason I said he was Caucasian is because when you see heroin, you think about
location of your emergency?
Negro.
Fiddler calling from 3104 Churchview Drive in Valparaiso. My daughter has no pulse. It's a drug overdose.
Okay.
I need somebody here fast.
Okay, stay on the phone with me.
We can no longer say that heroin is a problem in Porter County. It's not a problem. It's an epidemic. Here in this jail, over 95% of the inmates have substance abuse problems. And in the last 2 years, we've had over 250 911 calls relating to drug overdoses. Who's bringing heroin into Porter County are our own kids, our own young adults. They're going into the south side of Chicago, they're buying the heroin and bringing it back. The kids from Couch, Hebron, Chesterton, Portage, Valparaiso, throughout Porter County, they're the ones going to Chicago, bringing it back. And when you do heroin, it's a choice. And people need to understand that choices have consequences. And if they do heroin, two things are going to happen. They're either going to die or they're going to go to jail.
My name is Herbert Steverson. I'm from Valparaiso, Indiana, and I'm currently incarcerated for Class D felony possession of a hypodermic needle. I was introduced to heroin through friends that I partied with. I started off socially using. It built from prescription pain medication abuse. Heroin is the most readily available drug, in my opinion, in my experience, in Porter County. Everybody knows somebody that can get it. I OD'd the first time driving around in a car with some friends, and luckily one of my friends was able to bring me back herself. The second time I OD'd, I fell out in my parents' bathroom. Ever since I was growing up, man, I was gonna be a baseball player. I was going to the league. It was my dream. It was number one on my list. Baseball was my first love until I did drugs for the first time. If I could go back in time to the first time that I shot up, I would probably tell on myself. I would probably tell my parents, alert my coaches, alert my people, hey, this guy needs help.
My name is Christian Enyart. Went to Valparaiso High School. I've approximately been in jail about 17 times, in and out. I've been to the penitentiary, I've been to boys' schools, I've been to mental institutions, I've been all over the place. I was introduced to heroin when I was 17 years old by a woman. She had been introduced to painkillers, prescription medications, and she first introduced me to those with Vicodin and Percocets and all that. And then she brought around heroin, and I was interested. I was intrigued by that, and I was like, hey, I want to try that. And then push come to shove, and I was end up shooting up within 2 weeks. Like the sheriff said, it's an epidemic. It's taken over. Like I know people that when I was in high school, that I'd smoke weed with, and they'd be like, oh, I'd never do anything other than this. And half of them are dead now from heroin use, and the other half are still addicted right now. Now, if I had known exactly the outcome as of now, if I would know what the outcome was, I would say I don't want to be there. I don't want to not have anything to my name. I want to be 23 years old, going to college and starting a career and my family, and who knows, maybe I already have a family, you know. And just looking back, I wish I could do that.
My name is Katie Hoekstra. I am 27 years old and I live in Valparaiso, Indiana. Been arrested 8 times, all drug related. I'm in jail this time because I overdosed and police came to my house. I've gotten away with a lot. I've come to jail many times and only had to sit a little bit or got bonded out, but this time I was sentenced to a year. Heroin is very easy to get in Porter County and in Valpo. It's normally just a phone call or a Facebook message away. My daughter was the one who saved my life one time from one of my overdoses when she was 3. She got in my phone and called the neighbor and said my mommy's sleeping and won't wake up. It was never in my plans when I was a child. I got really good grades. I was athletic. I was prom queen. I was that person who was driven to do something and be somebody in life, not sitting in Porter County Jail, watching my children grow up over visiting screens and pictures.
My name's Robert from Valparaiso. Started using heroin at the age of 21.
I'm Bo. I'm from Valpo. I've been using drugs since I was 19.
My name's Don. I'm from Portage, Indiana. I was 16 when I first tried heroin.
I'm Lindsay Stauffer. I graduated high school in 2009 from Valparaiso, and my drug of choice is heroin.
My name is Brandon. I'm from Chesterton, Indiana, and I was 17 years old when I started using heroin.
I'm Jeannie Fancher. I'm from Chesterton, and I was 15 when I first started using heroin.
My name is Justin the Christian. I graduated from Wheeler High School in 2002. I'm from Valparaiso, Indiana. I started using heroin at 16 years old.
My name's Tom. I'm from Valpo. Went to Valpo High School. My drug of choice is heroin.
My name is Dustin Sandberg. I'm from Valparaiso, Indiana, and I was 19 years old when I first shot up heroin.
My name is Brittany Byland. I graduated high school in 2007 from Washington Township, and I first used heroin at Chesterton.
My name is Lisa Perry. I'm from Valparaiso, Indiana. I was 12 years old when I started using heroin.
I'm Nick. I'm from the Pines, and I was 18 when I first used heroin.
My name's Noah Beck. I live in South Haven here in Indiana. And my son Jared Noah Beck, died of an overdose of heroin. It's the worst thing in the world. I mean, to lose a child, you know, they're supposed to bury us. We're not supposed to bury them. Had it been a car accident or something like that, I think would have been more understanding. But knowing he was using drugs and knowing that there was a possibility that he could be one of the casualties in Porter County was horrible. The coroner said his time of death at approximately 10 p.m. I dropped him off at 2:30 that afternoon, and he was found the next day, which was my birthday. Not a day goes by that I don't think about him and what he would be now. You know, he'd be 34 years old now, and not a day goes by that I don't think about it.
I am Phyllis Spittler.
And I'm Man Spittler.
Amanda died right here in our home. She died in our bathroom upstairs in the bathtub.
She said she was going to go upstairs and she was going to take a warm bath and go to bed. And I knocked on the door and I screamed her name. I did this 3 times with no response, and then finally I opened the door and went in there. There were her drug works out on the countertop. Dr. Mazurik, a pulmonologist, a lung specialist, was in charge of her case. And I asked him, I said, why so much fluid in her lungs here? You can't get oxygen into someone's blood if the lungs are filling with water. And he said, uncertain cause unknown.
Amari, for the sake of time, let's cut it here and go on to the next piece. Now, you know, we could let you see more, but we only got X amount of time. I wanted to present, and we did present this information as a host for the Lake County piece that I has told the people with the West Side Heroin Opioid Task Force that I would read. reading it would not have been as impactful as what you have seen. And the subliminal message, Lake County, whether it's Lake County, Africa, Lake County, Indiana, Lake County, Illinois, Lake County, Ohio, is the same. The problem is the same. That's why Retro Current Team was created to bridge the gap between those of us that are now elders and those of other generations. We have to be able to communicate and educate in whatever way we can to connect the dots. So understand this. Team, that part, that end of retro current, and you know retro mean, I don't like the word old, throwback, back yonder. Current, you know mean right now, contemporary. But team is consistent. Teach, train. And yeah, those that work in the joint from retro current team, tame, teach is good. But some of us know that in order to teach them, you first got to start at step one. That is, you got to tame it. Just like anything else wild that's never had discipline, that never had restraint, that never had structure, you cannot train them, you cannot teach them until you first train them. So when we say T on Retro Current Team, we mean train, teach, tame. That's what we mean. And there's no shame in me saying that, yeah, you have to tame him because he's wild. And until you tame him, you ain't going to train him to do nothing. And until you train him, you ain't going to teach him. Now, I know you all don't want to hear that because it come from somebody that don't look like who you want to be able to say it in your own terminology. Like this new garbage you got, inclusion, equity. You people ought to stop playing with these semantics. You need to talk to people and deal with people in real terms. But now you done changed things so you could confuse, but you still discriminating. You understand? Against the Negro. You still ripping off the Negro, but you use different words. But I'm going to leave that alone because y'all probably can see that spirit trying to come up. And I ain't trying to do what I did last week and be so intense. But I had to tell you. Now, T. E mean educate. That's what this is, education. It also means entertainment. But we can't entertain you because the damn social media won't let nothing we use. Even if we say it ain't our music. You know daggone well it ain't our music. And I hope they let that last piece play because we heard background music. But since it was on YouTube, so YouTube should allow it to be played. But they are subject to say you can't use it because da-da-da-woo-woo. I understand. I understand. You don't want us educating our people. So when we say entertain, that's a little bit obsolete now because we can't use music to help amplify the message. But we try. We do. And that other part, to empower. That's part of the E. And A is to advocate. We advocate for the rights of the ex-offender, for the rights of the homeless vets and all vets, and anybody else that need advocacy. Yeah, we do. And for the poor Negro business people that can't even get a damn dispensary license after all of the victims of an unjust or unjust society. See what I'm saying? So you need an advocate. And there are people out there trying to advocate and they're getting stomped in the ground. See what I'm saying? Because they don't want you to make none of that money. So you end up going to what? OPR. You go back. I mean, you can't use your reefer no more. That was sort of like your soft sale. So now you're forced to go hard. And at one state, Oregon, they done decriminalize all dope. That's going to happen in a minute. The whole damn country going to be a bunch of dope fiends. But then little white folk and other little folk, they're going to be able to make big money. But their clientele, they always make you to think it's just us. You just saw what we just showed you, and that's why we showed you that. So you could see, that was a whole lot of white folk you just saw there. You ain't saw one Negro nowhere in that. So understand, that ain't just on us. It's a problem. It's an epidemic. Yes, it's a pandemic. And we know that the last administration, the Trump administration, they were putting big money into the opioid situation to try to provide help. What this new administration going to do, we'll see later. We're going to move on to something else now. I'm through with that. Now, brother, let's look at that piece where that boy's showing his drawers. We ain't going to be able to look at the whole piece where it did the piece that says, well, use Dr. Price and then come to DJ. Yeah, start with this. We're going to use this, and we're going to try not to run out of time, but today I just want to drill into us that there are people, they should have done it before, but they're doing it now.
You men, will you please explain why do you want your filthy drawers exposed to the public, and why are you walking with your pants down like you's a male whore? Am I right, man? Am I right? I say, hoorah! You got so-called Christian performers up on a stage like this, singing about Jesus like this. Preacher sons like this. You know, they had this trash reality show called The Preachers. Preachers of LA. And you see them like this. You folks are no Christians. What do this trash got to do with Jesus?
1 Corinthians chapter 2.
Give chapter and verse.
1 Corinthians chapter 2, and we're at verse 4.
Listen.
And my speech and my preaching was not with enticing words of man's wisdom, but in demonstration.
I'm going to demonstrate this.
Of the Spirit and of power.
Of the Spirit and of what?
And of power.
And of power.
That your faith,
that your belief
should not stand
in
in the wisdom of men.
This is the wisdom of men. The wisdom of men says nothing wrong with looking like this.
That's right.
The wisdom of men say you can be a Christian and look like this.
That's right.
The wisdom of men say God ain't looking at your outward, you're looking at your heart. You see, you men that dress like this, your bishop said it ain't nothing wrong because that gay man looking. How is it you men feel so all right with your butt
go ahead
exposed to each other? Even a dog drop its tail to hide its private parts. Am I right, I said? Even a dog put his tail down to hide his private parts.
That's right.
You was made in God's image. Look how disgraceful you became. You look like a male whore. You look like a male prostitute. You look like a male stripper. And you talk about you from the hood. I'm from the hood.
Go ahead.
A man that's a real man from the hood don't advertise his butt. You look gay. This is a sign that you're making a booty call. Now I know you don't like this, And you know I don't care if you don't. Your father is like this. Grandfather, like this. Your son, like this. Father, like this. Wife, like this. Mother-in-law, like that. And you going to some church.
Go ahead.
Give me 5 brothers, starting from Damien to Marcus. All 5 of you brothers. 6 of you brothers, come
on. All right,
up.
Amari, we can go on and
Stand
get Dr. Price. Dr. Price, you them basketball players, and yeah, this is what we're looking for.
Together, won't work together. They have purposely, insidiously planted the distrust of one black for another because they know that if we ever get together, if we ever become one, we will become dangerous. Instead of relying on the white man, we'll rely upon our own abilities and our own resources. But as long as they can keep us dependent upon them, then we never come into our own. Professor Stamp points out this fact, and I quote, "Here then was the way to produce the perfect slave. Accustom him to rigid discipline, demand from him unconditional submission, impress upon him his innate inferiority, develop in him a paralyzing fear of white men, train him to adopt the master's code of good behavior, and instill in him a sense of complete dependence." Many of us, we won't even accept anything from another black man until the white man has given his approval. We have been the most loyal people to this nation than any of the immigrants that ever came here. We have fought in every one of America's war and then got treated like dogs after it. And then the nation has the gall to decide whether or not we should apologize to them. Maybe we ought to declare war on them, and then maybe that'll get them to apologize. You took a group of people, brought them from their own native land, stripped them of their character, stripped them of their heritage, even stripped them of their family ties, purposely so that they couldn't get into agreement with each other. Took the father, grabbed him and sent him north, as it were. Took the wife, sent her south. Took the kids, sent them west. Took the other kids, sent them east. Split them up. Christian people did this. So-called Christian. Claimed to be Christian. Couldn't have been Christian. Couldn't have known God. They could not know God and do that. Then you kept them in bondage and from 1619 to 1865. Worked them till they dropped dead. Because there's plenty more of them in Africa, so just kill these. You don't maintain, you don't keep them healthy, you don't keep them up. Just let them die and then get some more. That's all. Just purchase some more. You got money, go buy some more. And that's what they did. And then some black folk got the nerve to talk about we shouldn't talk about reparations. We should let it go. Poor, simple-minded fool. Japanese people who lived here in the United States, Southern California area, they shipped them out, put them in internment camps during the Second World War with Japan. After the war was over, through negotiations, they received every person $20,000 each and a formal apology. And our government, our nation, is wondering whether or not they're deciding whether or not they should apologize for enslaving blacks in America. Now think about this. Now this is what I'm talking about. See, this nation is wrong. I'm sorry. This nation is wrong. Now watch this. Listen, here's why they're wrong. Here's why they're wrong. They won't even apologize to the best citizens that they've ever had. Now listen. It wasn't black Africans from Nigeria that flew over Pearl Harbor on December the 7th and declared war on the United States of America. approximately 3,000 plus Americans were killed by the Japanese on the day of Pearl Harbor when Japan declared war on the United States of America. And then after that, they gave them $20,000 apiece and apology for declaring war on them. And black people have been the most loyal people to the United States. They have never, ever declared war on the United States. Never. Listen, 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 listen. We have been the most loyal people to this nation than any of the immigrants that ever came here. We have fought in every one of America's war and then got treated like dogs after it. And then the nation has the gall to decide whether or not we should apologize to them. Maybe we ought to declare war on them, and then maybe that'll get them to apologize. I mean, right is right, doggone it, right is right. That's just downright criminal. That's just downright criminal. We have fought in every single war. We've been butchered and destroyed and shot up and come back to this country and couldn't even get a job. Just because we were black. And you say you're going to decide whether you apologize? In God we trust. What God? Yes, you need to pay for slavery. Yeah. Your grandparents and your great-great-great-grandparents, they did it. Yes. And you ought to pay. Right. Just like you paying for everything else that your great-great-grandparents did. Come on. Yeah. All the contracts and legal paraphernalia that they did with other nations and countries has bound the United States by certain limitations. You have inherited that. How come you don't squawk about that? Only about paying for slavery you squawk about. Amen, Pastor. America, your problem is you need to get saved. Then they've worked this thing on us where we can't work together, won't work together. They have purposely, insidiously planted the distrust of one black for another because they know that if we ever get...
It ain't came. Now, let me just say this to y'all. Yeah, I'm going to play it over and over and over. Yes, I am. And if you don't want to see it, don't look at it. But you need to hear it. He is telling the truth. And you know he's telling the truth. In every word that he has spoken is the truth. But now, he's in the afterlife. But he survived successfully. He was a big shot preacher, apostle. Yeah. And the brother you saw earlier that was talking about having your pants down, showing your behind. You see all them people he was talking to? So things are happening, whether you know it or not. And yes, as long as they allow me the opportunity to come here to do programs, I will not come here just talking BS just to be talking. I ain't here for that. I'm here to bring you information that you might not have had the opportunity to see and hear. And like I said before, Speak On It was an interactive opportunity. But right now it's not interactive because of the pandemic. So I need to do something that makes sense, and that is provide information that can help empower each individual that might take time to watch this program, watch CAN TV. You feel me? Brother, find that piece, and we're going to move real quick now with them girls down there, with them females down there. Yeah, run this, and I just want y'all to see it, and then I'm going to say what I got to say. What I got to say so we can move on. Now, the reason I did that, you saw the preacher show them mannequins with them dudes being naked. Now, this is in Atlanta. We coming to this here. But the truth is, and I don't know how they got away with having that NBA on it. You know how they be talking, trying to regulate what I do with woo-woo? Well, I mean, so you got the men walking around, and you got them over there tweaking it behind, each other's behind, and that's Atlanta. I used to think Atlanta had more remorse than that. Atlanta done got to be something else, they say. I don't know. I went down there once upon a time. They weren't like this. They used to be down south. Now, this is how they playing. They call that booty basketball. It's cool. I ain't hating. I mean, if that's what you want to do, go look at them play ball. I mean, hell, they walking down the street like that anyway. Men walking down the street like that. So it ain't nothing. But I wanted to show you how the value, the moral, have slipped in this society. And that's okay. It ain't for me to judge. I ain't get into all that. But I wanted to show it to you because it's entertainment. Now we finna look at some with this woman that got accused. Here it is. This woman here done got $3.7 million. Run this real quick, Amari, because I'm looking at the clock.
I got Balenci's in the bathroom. I used to be fiending for him, dreaming in the classroom.
I don't know what this is. This is gonna get us crossed out. We just need to see the thing about the woman with the houses. I don't know where this come from. What's this? Now, what I'm looking for is that piece there, to talk about this woman that stole $3.7 million from getting them loans. And that was the piece I saw a minute ago with that big old pretty house in Texas. And I guess, at least y'all can't see this because I don't know what this is. This is
LaDonna Wiggins, we have yet to hear from her. This business here behind me off Pierce and Baldwin is apparently that of hers. They have since turned off the lights when they saw our cameras. But we're also waiting to hear from her lawyer who's in New York. Still nothing from either of them. Again, what those court documents allege are pretty jaw-dropping.
Hi, looking for LaDonna Wiggins? My name's Myra with ABC 13.
Tuesday afternoon, we went to a home in Cyprus that court documents state 37-year-old LaDonna Wiggins purchased using money she received from the CARES Act. The document says Wiggins received about $3.7 million after submitting 2 PPP loan applications for businesses known as Wiggins and Grams Enterprises, LLC, and Pink Lady Line. The document states she used the funds to make lavish personal purchases, this home allegedly being one of them.
Hi, looking for LaDonna Wiggins?
She's not here.
She's not here?
When someone finally came to the door, I asked this woman about the allegations that Wiggins supposedly purchased 2 homes using federal funds meant for business use.
This house and apparently a house for her mom. Is that you?
No.
You're not her mother?
No.
The court documents go on to mention just how much money she spent and on what. Here's just a few listed in detail in these court documents. Over $78,000 on a 2020 Land Rover, over $25,000 at Saks Fifth Avenue, over $12,000 at Hermes, over $64,000 at Chanel, and $204,000 for a business in Houston, nearly $700,000 for a home in Cyprus, and over $248,000 for a home in Katy.
Is there a time that she will be coming home?
Actually, she hasn't called me today, so I'm not sure when she's coming back.
And how are you related to her?
That doesn't matter.
We never got a straight answer from the person who opened the door. We did see her moments later get in an SUV and leave. Wiggins has been charged with bank fraud, making a false statement to a bank, and money laundering. She faces up to 30 years in federal prison. Mayra Moreno, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
Now, I want you to understand. Now, 3.7 million. Bro. And a lot of y'all out there, y'all done made these come-ups on that, stealing that money. And I ain't hating. But it is what it is. And one of the things, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were saying how some people they know have gotten unemployment benefits from every state in the union. But these are criminals that ain't finished grammar school, ain't finished high school, ain't got nothing. But they done figured out a way, you understand me, to scam the government. They smarter than the government. They smarter than people with terminal degrees. They smarter than everybody. This woman here is so damn smart that she got it. But there are other people getting them $30, $40, $50, $100,000, $200,000 loan. Ain't got no business, ain't had no business. But there are people that got business and struggling. They can't get nothing. How is this possible? You can't tell me there ain't a trick in it somewhere. But sound like Biden is talking about Inspector General. I really hope he get an army of Inspector General and go find every last one of them and send their ass to jail for ages. Because what you do is you make it hard for folks that have earned the right to get help. And here you are thinking you the most cleverest thing in the house, in the world. You see that house? What? Nappy head, nappy neck, face. You fake, eyelash wearing and everything else wearing creature. How did you think the government wasn't going to see that house? How did you think you was going to get away with that? Because you knew others did. So everybody else was a fool, but you were the queen. But I hope they give you every day, every second of that 30 years. And I don't give a damn if you see this program in Texas, in Houston, and you want to come up here and talk about it, then I hope them projects that was over there on State Street rise up and bury your ugly, scamming behind. It don't make sense. You Negroes, y'all need to go somewhere. Well, white folks been stealing. Yeah, white folks still stealing. Yeah. But Negroes, you should have more damn sense. Hell wrong with you with your ignorant self. Now, let's go right on down here. Forget that piece about CPS or whatever. Go to the piece. When I say CPS, I'm talking about the CPS sick out. We'll talk about that next time. Right now, though, get this piece, Amari, about how to buy 81 million votes and get away with it. That's the one with that woman with her laughing behind like a hyena.
If you send John and the Reverend to Washington, those $2,000 checks will go out the door.
We will be able to pass $2,000 stimulus checks for the people next week.
We'll deliver the $2,000 stimulus checks.
And that begins with the $2,000 stimulus.
When you send me and Reverend Warnock to the Senate, we will pass those $2,000 stimulus checks. You send me and Reverend Warnock to the Senate, we will pass those $2,000 stimulus checks.
They will make decisions about whether we give people a $2,000 check.
We need to pass $2,000 stimulus checks for the people.
For getting people that $2,000 in relief, direct payment.
Congress should pass $2,000 checks. President-elect Biden and Democrats are all pushing for $2,000 relief checks. $2,000 stimulus checks. $2,000 relief checks. $2,000 relief checks. They should send $2,000 checks to the American people. Now
find that piece with her face where she's laughing, Amara. That's what I want to show after that piece there. Just her face. No, that's you know. Well, if you don't see it, it should have been with that clip. Actually, the clip came under her face, so I don't know what happened there. But anyway, don't worry about it. Yeah, there it is. There, you go back up. Yeah, that one there, that woman.
Stop cleaning toes.
So whatever reason they don't want to show it. So I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, you know, I'm looking at it, but you can't see it. Okay. Bottom line is this here. They lied. And I told y'all before. No, not her. We used to do her at the end. And hold it there, though, because we finna do that next. We got two more pieces. That piece and another piece. Now, told you before. It was a bride. And that's related to them women down there in Atlanta playing ball and woo. I told you that if anybody got that stimulus money, it should have been the people in Atlanta. Because those politicians bribed and lied. Because they ain't delivered yet. I'm sure they're going to deliver, I think. But had that been Trump, all you niggas did is call him a lie all his 4 years. I ain't heard one of y'all say that these people lied. But yet, you sit back like the Democrats are some type of angels. They lied to you. They bribed the public. They bought votes. And you ain't said a word. The media ain't said a word. But there it is. You gonna call that fake news? That ain't fake news. That's what they did. And in that, they talked about $2,000. They might be able to get you $1,400. And they say, within the last 24 hours, I think Harris might have signed, and it's 51-50 because she broke the tie. And now they might be moving forward with getting this stimulus thing done. Now, so much for that. I just had to tell you. You see what I'm saying? You talking about the other ones a liar, and here's one here that not only did he buy and tell the lie down there in Georgia, he told lies and bought and did the same stuff that Trump said they did. Hell yeah, I said it. And then when Clarence Thomas say, well, whoa, wait a minute, I ain't agreeing with y'all because I think something to it. The same people that Trump put in there, that show how slow he is. He put some people in there thinking they had his back, and what they do, they get caught up. And he get cast out. That ain't none of my business. I don't care. That's all of them the same. But I'm just saying, Negroes need to snap out of being stupid. You need to see what's happening to you. They said as soon as they got elected, they was going to give you that money. Since they didn't give you that money, they down there got them women down there playing basketball in thongs to try to get up on some money. Got people going around doing a whole lot of things because that money ain't came. Now, last week, we're going to forget about the one about this boy in Walmart. We'll talk about him later, but we ain't got time right now. Start back with that piece about them food boxes from last week, Amari. It's right close to the end. We ain't going to see all of this. I'm going to just show you a little of it. All right, let's hear this.
Out here, 61st, Wentworth, driving by again, and guess what? More food out here, same as last week. Somebody's still coming around, dumping food over here. And you doing it where nobody lives. Look at this stuff. Once again, Airmac paperwork, milks.
Now, Mar, you can stop and go to this piece here. Go to the piece. What the hell is this? Snack cakes. Where the state is at 1 million students going to get that $450. Yeah, play this in here. Now, those people, let's play this, and I'll hook it up in a minute. Why he catching up with itself. Let me just say, last week you saw the piece as it relates to them food boxes, but I needed you to have a frame of reference, so we ran that little clip again, where they had all them food boxes dumped, and those food boxes, for kids, families, really, food the CPS was providing because people was out of school. You needed to know that. Now the state
in-person learning resumes for more CPS students. Things are still far from back to normal for many of their families.
There are a lot of families that are struggling right now, and with kids not having access to meals in schools, unfortunately, a lot of kids are going hungry.
The state of Illinois received federal money to offer more relief to more children, 1 million children. Students will receive the funds through their school districts. Students may qualify individually, those who already qualify for free meals. And statewide, at over 200 school districts, the entire district qualifies, like Chicago Public Schools. At CPS, all students are eligible for the Pandemic Electronic Benefit Transfer, or PEBT, and will get $450 for the time schools were remote during the fall. The money will be loaded onto a reusable card.
They can take this card and they can purchase food at retail and grocery stores across the state. So please do not throw those cards away.
State officials urge families to make sure their child's school has the most current address and watch for a white envelope in the mail with that card.
If they came to school, pre-pandemic, expecting or needing breakfast and lunch, when that went away, there was a significant rise in the need to replace those meals.
We just think about adults going hungry, people that may be homeless or underemployed, but there are a lot of families out there with children that are struggling.
Cards start going out next week. Qualified students who have been remote this year are entitled to more funds. That money will be automatically reloaded on those cards. In Chicago, Leah Hope.
Now, see, we saw the waste and whatever happened with the food out there. Now, I just want to ask you a question. I was talking to somebody yesterday. They were saying they know somebody, one of their friends got 8 kids. And they couldn't believe this was going to be happening because that woman ain't got but 2. And I was listening to them. But, this is creating a real serious situation here. Now, I want you to just think for a minute. Now, in them boxes, so if you get 5 boxes a week, and there's 4 weeks in a month, so that's 5 boxes and 4. That's 20. Now, I doubt if each one of them lunches cost more than $10. That would have been a couple of $100, right? But they getting $450. Now, they had already made some adjustments to that link because of the pandemic. Not that much. So now we saw waste of food on the box. Now, if you want to be critical and you want to tell the truth, $450 a head, you got 8 damn kids. You ain't never had no job. Ain't none of them never did nothing. And they ain't even went to school. They might have been enrolled, but how many of them really went to remote learning? Now, each one of them gonna get $450 a month. 450 times 8 to feed a group of people that, how many of them, where's the other criteria? How many of them passing? How many days did they have to attend class? How many this? How many that? What is the criteria that you can just go give somebody $450 a head for food? Because they're going to waste it just like what you saw in them boxes. You say, well, man, why you be hating all the time? Nigga, I be hating because I know what you be doing. All you going to do, you understand? You going to sell your link and you going to eat that. But them kids going to start fighting their mama and their daddy. This my money. This my food. And they going to go get some noodles. Ain't nothing nutritious about what they going to get out of that $450. I don't blame Miss Ho or Miss Howe for the director of human services. She don't know. That's what happened when you get Asians over stuff that really affect Negroes. What do they know? What I'm saying is what's raw and what's real. And you say, but you shouldn't say that. Yeah, I'm saying it because I know there's some vets out here that are homeless and they starving. They eating out of the garbage can. And they went and they got shot up, drugged up, fighting for this country. And you won't give them $1, but you'll feed these people and their kids don't even go to school. And when they're in school, they don't even do their work and they fail in everything. So now you got these baby machines pushing out these little creatures, and now here you go again. $450 a head every month. So parents going to be fighting with these kids, boy. They're going to be having a hard time because these kids going to be claiming they sweet and sour, they hot and junk food. But at least the parent will be able to sell their whole link card now. And then they'll all be able to eat junk food. But then there are people out here that can't hardly make it. And they can't get it. Woman talking to me the other day, been working all her career, so she get laid off, of course. She tried to apply to unemployment. Now when she called, she can't even get on because they say, well, you called once. So here she has been sitting here suffering. Ain't got nothing to pay her rent with. Ain't got nothing to buy food with. And can't even call unemployment. It ain't getting a call from them. But yet, you can give somebody $450 a head for all these little nappy head kids that might or might not be failing, that we know ain't going to remote. A whole lot of them ain't going. So why are you giving them all that money for that for? Why the hell you just go on and continue to give them sacks and them boxes? That's what you should do. But now, here you go. Creating something to spend money, to waste money, when folks like me and other grandparents could tell you how to take $450 and feed the whole damn family for the whole month if somebody would learn how to cook. But until next week, oh no, before you get there, show that picture of the math. Now this here is interesting. We already knew it. You see what that say? Chicago speed cameras write 1 ticket every 12 seconds. You know, they started enforcing that thing this week, where if you go 6 miles over the speed limit, this is what happened to you, $35 ticket, and the ticket can be $100 and up. And they say it's going to be around park areas, schools, boo. I mean, that's the biggest lie I ever seen, because I see cars driving around schools going 100 miles an hour, and police drive right by them and don't do a damn thing. But you can see a senior citizen, and he might have just had his foot or her foot, and they might have went 6.5, and now, here you go, squeezing. But when they came in the office, tried to make like they were going to give you all of these amnesty programs, but you see what you're doing now, don't you? Write a ticket every 12 seconds. How many 12 seconds is in an hour? See, that's a minimum $35. Now, some of those tickets going to be $400. Y'all need to start keeping a journal. So the next time, until next week, until the next time, Alafia, peace, and good health.